There are moments in life when you realize the people you love most, the people you've sacrificed everything for, truly see you as nothing more than a burden, a faded relic of who you once were. That moment for me arrived on Christmas Day, wrapped in a blanket of biting frost and smothered under a mountain of my own daughter's condescension. Little did they know, their carefully constructed world of entitlement and veiled disdain was about to come crashing down around their ears, and I, dear friends, would be the one holding the hammer, not out of malice, but out of a desperate need to reclaim my own dignity and, perhaps, teach them a painful but necessary lesson. Before we dive deeper into this tangled web of perceived weakness, blatant greed, and eventual, profound redemption, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. Your support truly means the world to me, and it helps these stories reach others who might need to hear them. My name is Margaret Thompson, though most people call me Maggie. I'm in my late 50s, a widow for 3 years now, and I've always prided myself on being a giver. For 30 years, I taught second grade, pouring my heart into those bright, eager minds, seeing the potential in every single one. When budget cuts hit Cedar Falls, my position, along with many others, was eliminated. It was a crushing blow, not just financially, but to my sense of purpose. My late husband, Thomas, God rest his soul, had always encouraged my knitting and crafting, calling it my therapy. He'd often say I had a knack for teaching, even outside the classroom. So with a small severance package and a whole lot of grit, I decided to take his advice. I started Stitch Your Dreams, an online crafting education platform. It began in my spare room, just me, a webcam, and a few patterns. I taught people how to knit, crochet, embroider, not just the mechanics, but the joy of creation, the therapy of repetitive motion, the pride in making something with your own hands. It was slow going at first, but I believed in it, and more importantly, I believed in myself. Over the past 7 years, Stitch Your Dreams grew, organically, student by student, country by country. It was my quiet triumph, my secret garden, but to my daughter Brenna and her husband Kyle, it was just Mom's little knitting hobby. That Christmas dinner, the air in my cozy living room, usually filled with warmth and laughter, felt thick with a different kind of tension. Brenna, my only child, has always had a flair for the dramatic, a tendency to view the world as her own personal stage, and herself as the eternally deserving star. Kyle, her husband, was her willing accomplice, a man whose ambition vastly outweighed his talent or work ethic. They had 2 children, my grandchildren, Emma, 7, and Jake, 5, who were busy playing with their new toys, blissfully unaware of the undercurrents swirling around them. I had spent days preparing a feast. Roasted turkey, homemade stuffing, cranberry sauce, all the trimmings. I loved seeing my family together, even if these gatherings often felt more like an inquisition than a celebration. The conversation had, predictably, turned to finances. It always did. Kyle, leaning back in his chair, patting his belly, began, "So Maggie, still just doing your little knitting thing? Any thoughts on maybe downsizing? This house is a lot for one person, especially with property taxes these days. Brina and I were just saying, there are some lovely senior communities opening up, much less upkeep." Brina chimed in with an overly sympathetic sigh. "Oh, Mom, don't worry, we'd help you pack. It's just, with Dad gone, you must be struggling. We worry about you. What if you need a major repair? That Stitch Your Dreams thing can't be bringing in much, can it?" I felt a familiar pang of hurt, a deep ache in my chest. They saw me as frail, dependent, and financially precarious. They had no idea. It was a pattern that had been going on for years. Every time they ran into trouble, every time Kyle got a new opportunity that inevitably fizzled, they'd hint, subtly at first, then more overtly, at my supposed obligations to them. I had given them money in the past, far more than I should have, to help with rent, car payments, even a down payment on their first house, which they promptly lost when Kyle quit his job without a backup. Each time I'd sworn it would be the last, only to soften when Brenna turned on the waterworks, or Kyle promised this time would be different. But something had hardened in me since Thomas passed. I had learned to stand on my own 2 feet, to fight for myself. Their words, once gut-wrenching, now just felt hollow. Then, as if on cue from a higher power, the local news report came on the television in the corner, a gentle hum that usually served as background noise. I'd forgotten to turn it off. The anchor, a familiar local face, began. And in business news tonight, Cedar Falls native Margaret Thompson, founder and CEO of the wildly successful online crafting education platform Stitch Your Dreams, announced a new round of international expansion. What started as a small local venture by a former school teacher has grown into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, boasting over 50,000 students in 47 countries. Ms. Thompson, who built her empire from scratch after losing her teaching job due to budget cuts, is a testament to resilience and entrepreneurial spirit, proving that it's never too late to stitch a new future. The words hung in the air, each one a hammer blow to the silence that had suddenly descended upon my dining table. Kyle's fork clattered against his plate. Brenna's mouth, which had been mid-sentence, hung open, a piece of turkey barely escaping her lips. Emma, bless her innocent heart, looked up, eyes wide. "Grandma Maggie, you're on TV. Are you famous?" she chirped. The color drained from Kyle's face, then flooded back in an angry red. Brenna, ever the performer, managed a strained, high-pitched laugh. "Mom! You never told us. Multi-million-dollar? 47 countries? Is this real? Why didn't you say anything?" Her voice was laced with a mixture of shock, betrayal, and a very thinly veiled accusation. Kyle, always quick to adjust, cleared his throat. "Maggie, darling, that's incredible. What an achievement. We are so proud of you, aren't we, Brenna? We always knew you had it in you. Just that little hobby. We didn't realize the scale. 47 countries. Wow." The pivot was jarring, almost comical, if it weren't so infuriating. The condescension had vanished, replaced by an oily, almost desperate eagerness. The shift from struggling widow to wealthy matriarch was instantaneous, and their entitlement, rather than diminishing, simply recalibrated. I looked at their faces, Kyle's eyes now gleaming with dollar signs, Brenna's feigned delight, and something inside me snapped. The decades of polite smiles, the quiet absorption of their disrespect, the endless bailouts, it all crystallized into a cold, unwavering resolve. I wasn't just Maggie, the kindly grandmother, anymore. I was Margaret Thompson, CEO, and I had just witnessed the moment my family's true colors were splashed across my television screen. It was then I decided with absolute certainty that things were going to change. No more enabling, no more veiled contempt. This wasn't about revenge in the destructive sense, but about serving them a dose of reality, about reclaiming my self-worth, and about setting boundaries so firm they would feel like brick walls. This was about restoring balance, not just for me, but for them too, even if they couldn't see it yet. The weeks following Christmas were interesting. Brenna called almost daily, gushing about my amazing accomplishments, subtly weaving in comments about their own financial struggles and big dreams that just needed a little seed money. Kyle suddenly became an expert on business investments, offering unsolicited advice on how I should leverage my empire, always with the implication that he should be part of the leveraging. I listened, politely, but my resolve held. I had spent years documenting everything in detailed spreadsheets, not just for my business, but for every penny I had ever loaned or gifted them. My financial advisors, whom they also knew nothing about, had long ago set up robust legal structures to protect my assets. I had quietly updated my will, ensuring my grandchildren's future was secure, but with specific clauses regarding responsible stewardship. This was my strategic preparation. My plan wasn't to destroy them, but to force them to stand on their own 2 feet, something they had assiduously avoided their entire adult lives. My moment to execute the first phase of my plan arrived sooner than expected. About 6 months after the Christmas dinner revelation, Kyle lost his job. Again, this time it was a fairly stable middle management position he'd held for a couple of years, but he'd apparently ruffled too many feathers with his innovative, red, lazy, and disruptive ideas. Brenna called me, tears flowing, voice cracking with manufactured desperation. "Mom, we don't know what we're going to do. Kyle's been out of work for weeks. The bills are piling up. The car payment is due. We're gonna lose everything. We need your help, Mom. Just a little, like $2,000 a month, just until Kyle finds something new. $2,000 a month, as if it were pocket change. As if their financial woes were my ongoing responsibility. I listened to her entire theatrical monologue, my heart aching for the difficulty they were truly experiencing, but my resolve remained firm. "Brenna," I said, my voice calm, "I understand this is a very difficult time for you both, and I want to help. But I won't enable a cycle of dependency anymore. I will offer you a one-time gift of $15,000. However, this gift comes with a condition. You both must attend financial counseling sessions with Dr. Patricia Hoffman. She's an excellent no-nonsense advisor I know, and I will cover the cost of her services for 6 months. This isn't a handout, Brenna. It's a hand-up, an opportunity to learn the skills you need to manage your own finances and build a secure future." There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line. Then, Brenna's tone shifted from desperate to indignant. "Financial counseling? Mom, we're not children. We know how to manage money. We just need some time to get back on our feet, not a lecture. This is insulting." Kyle in the background could be heard grumbling about strings attached and unnecessary humiliation. I held firm. "Brenna, my offer stands. $15,000 with the counseling or nothing. The choice is yours. Think about it. Truly think about what's best for your family, for your children's future." They rejected it, of course. For a week, I heard nothing but frosty silence, then passive-aggressive texts. But I didn't waver. My phone remained silent. 2 weeks later, Brenna called back, her voice subdued. "Okay, Mom, we'll do it." Kyle found a construction job, not what he wanted, but its work. And we had to sell the second car. "We'll take the $15,000 and we'll go to the counseling." It wasn't an admission of defeat, but a begrudging surrender to reality. I knew this was only the beginning, but it was a crucial step. They hated the counseling, Dr. Hoffman later told me, but they went. They complained about living on a tighter budget, about the indignity of a lower-paying job, but they did it. They were forced to make difficult lifestyle changes, to truly live within their means, and for the first time, they felt the full weight of their financial irresponsibility. It was painful, but it was necessary. I watched from a distance, offering encouragement, but never rescuing them. My revenge was not their ruin, but their forced self-reliance. Then, the unthinkable happened. It was a Tuesday evening, almost 9 months after the initial financial intervention. My phone rang, and it was Kyle. His voice was not arrogant, not condescending, not even indignant. It was pure, unadulterated terror. "Maggie, it's Brenna. She was in an accident at work. A chemical exposure. It's bad, Maggie. She's in the ICU." My heart froze. All thoughts of past grievances, of their entitlement, vanished. This was my daughter, my flesh and blood, in danger. I was there in an hour, finding Kyle pacing the hospital waiting room, looking utterly lost. Brenna had been exposed to a volatile chemical mixture at the industrial print shop where she worked. She was suffering severe respiratory irritation, but the doctors were more concerned about potential permanent neurological damage, memory loss, coordination issues, chronic concentration problems. It was a nightmare. This was not their fault, not a consequence of their irresponsibility. This was a true crisis. My transformation from strategist of tough love to unwavering protector was immediate. "Kyle," I said, putting a firm hand on his shoulder, "we're going to get through this. We're going to fight for Brenna." And that's exactly what we did. I pulled every resource I had. My financial advisors connected me with Janet Morrison, a tenacious and brilliant lawyer specializing in workplace injury cases. Janet took the case on contingency, her eyes narrowing when she heard the details. Chemical exposure? lack of proper safety protocols? We'll dig deep, she promised. I sat with Kyle through every harrowing doctor's appointment, every agonizing legal consultation. I made sure Emma and Jake were looked after, insulated as much as possible from the severity of their mother's condition. Kyle, for his part, was a different man. The arrogance had been stripped away, replaced by raw fear and an overwhelming devotion to Brenna. He worked his construction job tirelessly, visited Brenna daily, and listened intently to every instruction Janet or I gave him. He was no longer the entitled son-in-law. He was a scared husband and father fighting for his family. The lawsuit against the negligent corporation, ProPrint Solutions, was a grueling battle. Janet Morrison was a force of nature. During discovery, her team uncovered a horrifying history. ProPrint Solutions had intentionally delayed ventilation system repairs in Brenna's department for over 6 months, despite multiple employee complaints. Even more damning, we found evidence of a deliberate pattern of covering up similar incidents, using boilerplate non-disclosure agreements and offering paltry settlements, often as low as $20,000, to silence injured workers. Dr. Sarah Chen, a former environmental health specialist for ProPrint, risked her career to provide crucial internal documents, whistleblowing on their corporate negligence, and callous disregard for worker safety. The case transformed from a simple injury claim into a major corporate negligence and cover-up action. This shared struggle, the fight for Brenna's justice, became the most powerful catalyst for change I could have ever imagined. It stripped away their facades, their petty grievances, and revealed the core of who they could be. After months of intense legal wrangling, deposition after deposition, the truth was laid bare. The evidence was undeniable. ProPrint Solutions, facing potentially devastating public exposure and a massive class action lawsuit, settled. The amount was significant, $2. $4 million. It was a victory, but a bittersweet one. Brenna would recover, but her neurological damage, while not as severe as initially feared, would leave her with lingering challenges in memory and concentration. But the settlement secured her future, providing for her ongoing medical care and ensuring she would never have to worry about financial insecurity again. The day the settlement was finalized, Kyle and I sat in Janet Morrison's office, Brenna too fragile to be there. He looked at me, his eyes full of gratitude and something else, humility. "Maggie," he started, his voice thick with emotion, "there's something I need to tell you. After you gave us that $15,000, the money, we never spent it." I looked at him, surprised. "What do you mean, Kyle?" He took a deep breath. "We were so angry at first, so insulted by the counseling, but you held firm. And when we started going to Dr. Hoffman, she helped. We started budgeting, really budgeting for the first time. The $15,000 sat in a separate account. It was our safety net, Maggie. Just knowing it was there, that we weren't completely without options, allowed us to take risks, to make difficult choices, like selling the car, like me taking that construction job, without feeling totally crushed. It gave us the courage to learn to live within our means. That money, your tough love, it saved us. It taught us how to stand on our own. A warmth spread through me, deeper and more profound than any revenge could ever bring. This was true justice. This was seeing my daughter and son-in-law transform into responsible, capable adults, not out of fear of punishment, but out of genuine growth and self-reliance. Brenna, while still recovering, began a new venture. Working within her limitations, she became a part-time workplace safety consultant, using her experience and the knowledge gained from the lawsuit to advocate for others. Kyle, emboldened by his newfound financial literacy and the lessons learned, left the construction job and, with careful planning, started his own small, ethical construction business focused on fair practices and worker safety. He even offered Dr. Sarah Chen a consultancy role. Emma, my bright granddaughter, inspired by Stitch Your Dreams and her grandma's entrepreneurial spirit, even started her own little knitting business, selling handmade scrunchies at the local craft fair, with a little help from my online tutorials. My life, once defined by quiet success and family grievances, now blossomed into something richer. I continue to expand Stitch Your Dreams, connecting with students globally, but now I share it all with my family. Brina and Kyle come to me not for money, but for advice, for a listening ear, for genuine support. The condescension is gone, replaced by mutual respect. They see me not as a burden, but as a mentor, a resilient matriarch, and, most importantly, as their mother and mother-in-law, who, through firm boundaries and unwavering belief in their potential, help them become the best versions of themselves. I realized then that the greatest gift you can give someone is not rescuing them from the consequences of their choices, but empowering them to face those consequences and emerge stronger. My life, once seemingly defined by their needs, has truly been reclaimed. I have my peace, my flourishing business, and a family that finally values me for who I am, not for what I can provide. If this story of transformation and the power of tough love resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to the next story, simply click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.